Chapter 1, Professionalism. I know you guys are eager to get into the kitchen and play around in the bake shop. And we will. We'll actually be doing a lot of stuff right along with some of these slide presentations when you're in school. But it's pretty important that you go through this information and learn it because you will be required to know it. So in this section, we're going to discuss the origins of baking and pastry profession, understand a little bit about the evolution of the professional restaurant and the professional bake shop, talk about the organization of a kitchen brigade, and talk about really what student chefs need to do to become professionals. All right, shall we begin? The first use of a stone oven for bread baking dates back to the Neolithic period of about 4000 BCE. Remarkably, these ovens discovered in archaeological ruins resemble that of a domed beehive shape that are sometimes still used today in baking. It is believed that the Egyptians discovered the effect of wild yeast organisms in leavening bread and perfected bread making to achieve consistent results. This discovery also led to the development of beer for the Egyptians. What historians interpret as organized bakeries are depicted in hieroglyphic sculptures and tomb paintings discovered throughout Egypt, where as many as 70 kinds of breads were consumed in the first millennia. Bread baking and confectionery were the first labor activities organized into special trades. Pharaohs employed skilled bakers to provide bread for their private consumption. Among the trades recognized by the highly organized Greek society of the 4th and 3rd centuries BCE were the wafer makers and the pastry cooks. The religion of ancient Greece focused on the worship of multiple deities that included the offerings of gifts of these gods, especially around critical times to ensure plentiful harvests, adequate rain, and prosperity. As is customary today, certain breads and sweets were eaten to commemorate special occasions. Historians credit the ancient Greeks with spreading the profession of the skilled baker throughout the Mediterranean basin. According to Greek historian Herodotus, writing in the 4th century BC, bakers accompanied roving Greek armies on their raids. When Roman armies conquered them, Greek soldiers and bakers remained in what is now Italy. Roman occupation then helped spread the techniques for cultivating grains, milling, and baking bread products throughout the Western world. Bread rapidly became the staple food essential for human survival. A position is held in most Western societies until the 20th century. For more on the history of bread, see page 4 and 5 of your textbook. Refined sugar and the art of confectionery, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on. The appetite for sweet food is the only universal taste preference across the world. Humans share a strong appetite for sweet foods, and for millennia, the consumption of bread ensured sustenance and survival. Eating sweet foods ensured satisfaction and pleasure. At the end of this presentation, there will be a video on the history of bread and a video on sugar and confectionery in history that you may want to take a look at. This will include a story about Columbus and about sugar beets. So please watch those videos as you will be required to know the information from this presentation, your textbook, and those videos. The culinary craft evolved during the Middle Ages under the European guild system. The guild system was a method of organizing the production and sale of goods produced outside the home. Guilds ensured quality manufacturing methods and consistent pricing. Each guild had a monopoly on preparing certain items. For example, during the reign of Henry IV of France, there were separate culinary guilds for rôtissiers who cooked meats, pâtissiers who cooked poultry, pies, and tarts, timisiers who baked bread, and traitors who made ragouts. By the end of the 17th century, according to culinary historian Barbara Wheaton, Paris bake shops sold a remarkable variety of rye bread and milk rolls, fine bread and coarse bread, soup, breads, a variety of little rolls leavened with brewer's yeast, and others with a sourdough starter. The French claim that the first modern restaurant opened one day in 1765 when a partisan tavern keeper, Monsieur Bollinger, hung a sign advertising the sale of his special restorative, a dish of sheep feet in white sauce. Bollinger's establishment differed from the inns and taverns that had existed throughout Europe for centuries. These inns and taverns served food prepared usually off premise by an appropriate guild, the food of which there was little choice, was offered by the innkeeper as incidental to the establishment's primary function, providing sleeping accommodations or drink. Customers were served family style and ate at communal tables. Bollinger's contribution to the food service industry was to serve a variety of foods prepared on premises to customers whose primary interest was dining. As the 19th century progressed, more restaurants opened, serving a greater selection of items and catering to a wider clientele. By mid-century, several large grand restaurants in Paris were serving elaborate meals decidedly reminiscent of the grand cuisine, also known as haute cuisine, of the aristocrats. Grand cuisine, which arguably reached its peak of perfection in the hands of Antoine Carême, was characterized by meals consisting of dozens of courses of elaborately and intricately prepared, presented, garnished, and sauced foods. Carême was known for advancing the art of the pâtissier by creating elaborate showpieces made of pulled sugar. The great innovator, he is credited with perfecting nougat, meringue, croquembouche, and millefeuille. Following the lead set by the French in both culinary style and restaurant businesses, restaurants opened in the United States and throughout Europe during the 19th century. Charles Ranhofer was the first internationally renowned chef of the American restaurant. His restaurant Delmonico in New York City in 1893, he published his Franco-American Encyclopedia of Cooking entitled The Epicurean, containing more than 3,500 recipes, including recipes for flannel cakes and brandy snaps. One of the finest restaurants outside of France was the dining room at London Savoy Hotel, opened in 1898 under the direction of Caesar Ritz and Augustus Escoffier. Escoffier is generally credited with refining the grand cuisine of Carême to create cuisine classique, or classic cuisine. By doing so, he brought French cuisine into the 20th century. The mid-20th century witnessed a trend towards lighter, more natural flavored, and more simple prepared foods. Fernand Point was the master practitioner of this movement, but this master goal of simplicity and refinement was carried to even greater heights by a generation of chefs Point trained, principally Paul Bocuse, Jean and Pierre Prosegros, Alan Chappell, Francois Bies, and Louis Altemer. They, along with Michael Guerard, Roger Verger, were the pioneers of nouvelle cuisine of the early 1970s. In the world of the pâtissier, Gaston Lenotre made inroads by taking the classic pastries of grand cuisines and adapting them to a brighter, fresher style of pastry making. Their culinary philosophy was principled on the rejection of overly rich, needlessly complicated dishes. These chefs emphasized heartful eating, using high quality, fresh ingredients and simple cooking methods. The accomplishments and garnishes must be light and contribute to an overall harmony. The completed plates must be elegantly designed and decorated. Following these guidelines, pastry chefs begin to plate desserts in the kitchens, mimicking the creative and fanciful style of the chefs. Savory food presentations. These early plated desserts often paired fresh fruit sorbets and sauces with artfully presented cakes, mousses, and tarts. The culinary influences felt since the American food revolution began in the 1970s, now firmly rooted, have intensified. In these early decades of the 21st century, there is a farm to table movement as chefs work in tandem with farmers to bring fresh flavors while preserving local agriculture and heirloom varieties. The interest in locally raised ingredients has materialized into restaurants where chefs serve seasonal foods such as spring berries or autumn apples found within a few miles of the establishment. Some of the figures influencing cooking in America during the late 20th century are Alice Walters, Lindsay Sher, Steve Sullivan, Nancy Silverton, and Maida Heather. And you can read about these chefs and others in your book on pages 9 through 11. Look for part 2, where we'll start with bake shop operations and get into the rest of chapter 1.